secret is I just smile and say, live for today. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the sun came up and I gotta say, see it in a whole new way. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world, on top of the world.
Hey, everyone out there. Welcome to another edition of Leaders and Learners, where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. They're always learning something new, bringing something new to you, discovering new ideas, discovering new ways to do things. And today I'm going to introduce you to an author that is doing something a little different, at least a little different than most of our guests. Miss Debra Byrd. She is a fictitious author. And I want you to hear about her book, her writing style, and her inspiration, and how you stay motivated when you are writing fiction. Nonfiction, of course, is your real life experience or something that you're teaching, but this is something that requires imagination, it requires out of the box thinking, and it requires serious persistence to keep writing and keep thinking out of the box to be able to draw your readers in, make sure they can connect, and something about them resonates that's not too far out of the realm of possibility. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Miss Debra Byrd. Hey, girl.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I let the audience know you are a little something different than they usually get, and I'm so glad you're here. I want you to tell the people about you first, and then how you got into a fictitious writing sphere. Like, what took you there instead of, let's say, fiction, something real life? Because I also know your life isn't boring. So, most people would lean into their true stories. You have a different way of doing things. So tell them about yourself and your writing.
Sure. Well, first, I'm from Dover, Delaware. I'm technically a transplant. I've been here most of my life now. I was born in Bucks County, PA, but mainly live in Dover. I'm a secretary for the state of Delaware, but in my spare time, I like to play video games, watch TV, and why I'm here today, writing. So I'm a fantasy author, young adult fantasy, and I've just always loved reading in general. Fantasy pulled me in as just something fun and something I could escape into to create these new worlds and new faces for people to see.
Wow. So first you said video games.
Yes.
What games are you playing these days?
These days, I'm really big, like everyone else. I'm in the multi role-playing shooter games. So right now I'm playing Apex Legends, I'm playing Fortnite, I'm playing Spellbreak. Those are my big three right now.
Fortnite, are you doing the dances? Have you got them down or what?
Yeah, I'm ignoring the dances for the most part. There are things that, that the people are already doing and they just throw it in there for fun.
I hear you. So listen, tell me then, if video game playing actually inspired any of your writing. I would be curious to see if there is a connection there.
It definitely did. For the one that's out right now, Fractured Princess, I had started writing that while I was playing. It's a game called Final Fantasy. It's a role-playing game from Japan. It's a huge franchise. I think they're about to release their 16th game. And while writing Fractured Princess, I wanted to write sort of a Final Fantasy video game in a book form. So that's actually, there's a lot of homage and tropes that people who may have played the games will see in this book.
You said tropes. Talk to me about that.
Kind of like, you have your romance tropes, the, enemies to lovers type of thing. And for fantasy, it's kind of the adventure tropes, the multicast of characters tropes, the twist in the narrative tropes, that's what I mean by tropes.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how video games has permeated through our culture. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of video games inspired by the Asian culture. Mm-hmm. And it actually lends to our youth who like these video games and anime and things like that, being more interested in the Asian culture. Do you have that same experience?
A little bit. I've been a video gamer since I was little, so it's something that I didn't even notice the culture until, you see our K-pop bands coming up, BTS, Blackpink, and the Japanese pop culture, which you see in a lot of Gwen Stefani for us is the one people know who brought in the, Harajuku culture, even though that was already a staple over in Japan. For our youth, it's definitely, especially for our Black youth, we call them blurs. We're Black nerds. So that's something we really lean into, just learning anime, Japanese, going over to the big cities like Tokyo, and just immersing themselves in the culture. It's definitely something, especially as young Black nerds, it's a lot more acceptable now than when I was maybe their age, but it's definitely something that they lean into for escapism and just to feel like part of a community.
I love that. So talk to me about your book.
Mm-hmm.
Why this book and why now?
Fractured Princess. So it's as I said earlier, it's an adventure story about this young princess named Johnny. Her people have been wiped out by this metal army, and she's trying to learn why and understand why. And she's also learning to fight for herself. She's protected by a team of watchmen, and she's kind of trying to share the load in a sense, so that she can fight alongside them and have a stake in her own life. And why now? I would say we're starting to see, at least on the fantasy Twitter sphere, mostly Black creatives and writers coming up into fantasy, because we don't usually get to see our faces in fantasy. So now is a good time for fantasy writers, especially Black fantasy writers, to jump in and share what our types of fantasy look like.
Now, your book and your story, does it follow, you said the fantasy video game, does it follow that story exactly, or were you able to deviate from that and make this story your own? And how do you find the creativity to do that when it's fantasy, it's not real life?
Right. Well, it doesn't follow a specific Final Fantasy. Each game is a different story. So I just kind of wanted to do, like, if they had put out a call, it's like we're looking for the next big Final Fantasy story. That was kind of my take on it, doing my own spin on what a Final Fantasy book might look like. I'm sorry, I missed what was your second question?
Well, actually, now that you mention it, do video games and do games actually put out calls for storylines? I'd be interested to know that, because this is a world where I think most of my listeners, probably it's foreign to them. It might not be foreign to their kids, but it's definitely foreign to them. So like, with other media, they'll put out a call for, stories, and a call for, different writings that they're looking for to add as content. Do video games actually put out calls for storylines?
I feel like from what I've seen, they usually work in-house with their stories. So I don't think I've seen any, unless it's for content creators, I don't really see too many calls for writers to bring in storylines. You'll see them more now on the mobile side. So there's those games called like Choices, where they have those little story and kind of, what do they call them? Like soap opera teen stories. On mobile games, you'll see them more for them than for actual handheld video games.
Do you create content for anything else besides just your books?
No, I have a blog where I just share my writing journey and what I might be doing that week, what I might be reading. But other than that, no real actual content.
Okay, good enough. Wow. So how difficult is it for you to market your fantasy books? Like, is there a large market for this type of literature, or are you constantly becoming a part of kind of, making a lane for this?
I do kind of feel like it's half and half, trying to make the lane, knowing that there are people out there already reading Black fantasy, Black science fiction. I'm one of them. So I know there are people looking. It's just trying to find them, pinpoint them, lure them in.
Oh, cool. So when you're not writing, what are you doing?
Outside of work, I'm playing video games, just doing regular stuff, watching TV, catching up, binging TV. It's not like I'm watching anything new. I'm just binging the same shows over and over.
And what are those shows? I'm interested to see what interests you.
Yeah, I'm big on the old ones, Living Single, Friends, The Cosby Show.
The classic stuff.
Yes, Different World. I'm just, my wife and kids, I found that's on. So I'm watching that anytime I see it's on. Yeah.
I love that. Are you doing any events or partnering with any organizations or any groups for your book?
Yeah, I actually did. We have a Comic-Con down in Dover. So that just happened 2 weeks ago. I got to do that. That was my first event, big event as an author. Just doing a couple other podcasts. And I am in talks with a couple teachers and organizations around the community to just come and talk to their students about writing and about my book.
What is your favorite part of this book? Tell me about the chapter that you enjoyed writing the most.
I think I actually just read it. I did readings for the week since the release. And one of my favorites is, it's a chapter called We Mustn't Let Them Tear Us Apart. And it's a pivotal line in the story and for Johnny. She just doesn't know why it's so important to her yet. And it's a chase scene through woods with these... I'll just call them like bees for the sake of the moment. They're docile until attacked, and the main enemy in the story comes and sparks them to attack the team. And it's the first time Johnny gets to kind of protect them because they've all kind of fallen prey to them. And she's the only one powerful enough to get to a temple and bring back help. So it's almost a turn to where she finally gets to tell her watchman, okay, it's time to trust me now. And that's one of my favorite chapters.
And why though? Tell me about that feeling that you got when you were writing this. And especially for people that, you know, that are looking to be writers, that have been struggling with their writing. What was that feeling that you got that made you love this part so much?
It was a chance because up until then, it's a lot of Johnny being scared and hiding and watching her watchman do all the work. And for this one, I finally got to have her put her foot down and say, I'm in the fight. I'm doing this. You have no other choice but to fight with me. And so it was just a pivotal moment where I could shift the writing into her not just being the one being protected, but the one protecting her friends.
Did that resonate with you as a woman in this world today?
Yeah, because what we see a lot still, like we're trying to break out of it, we're the damsels in distress. And that gets tiring. Like we don't always need someone holding our hand, picking us up and running away with us. And so just getting to have her stand on her own because everyone who's supposed to help her is down for the count, you know? So she's not going to just sit there and cry about it. She's going to actually do what she needs to do to get them help.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So tell us what's next for you. You have this book. I think it's coming out. It's on ebook now,
yes.
Right? And it's coming out on paperback the 14th. Mm-hmm. And then what? Then what do we get to look forward to from you?
Hopefully the next part. That's actually finished. I think it just has to go to the editing stages. I know I have the National Black Book Festival's coming up, so I get to take part in that with some of my other writer teammates. And
did you say writer teammates?
Yeah, we're a team. I'm part of SFF for the Culture, which is the imprint of Wahida Clark Publishing for the sci-fi and fantasy part of. So there's Chase Bowling and Zed Amadeo and Kevin Macklin. So all four of us are, I guess, the flagship team for the imprint. And I believe Chase is going to be on the National Black Book Festival with me. He's the one who brought me onto the team.
I love that. For people that are writing in the process of writing a book, you know, when you get stuck, when you're not sure if you can finish, what is your advice to them?
Almost don't listen to it. Because a lot of writers, and it's the most annoying thing you can see when you're in a writer's block and writers will just tell you, just write. That's not practical. You know?
Wait a minute. Talk to me about that.
Like they will, if you're stuck in writer's block, and I think most writers know what that is, your brain just won't let you write next. Like you, and even if you know what the next part is, you just can't put it down on paper. And so writers will tell you, like other writers, you'll see them on Twitter or on blogs, you know, if you're stuck writing, just write, no matter what it is. And sometimes that's not possible. So one of the things I like to say is just step away. Don't step away forever, because if you're, as someone who I've done it several times, I'm always thinking about writing. So I know eventually, no matter what, I'm going to come back to it. So just immerse yourself in more reading, immerse yourself in a favorite hobby, just something else. And when your mind is ready to bring you back into writing, then sit down and do it.
Now, talk to me really quick about publishing. How did you choose who you were going to publish with and what that process would look like?
Well, I believe mine's probably a especially different story, because I went into the query process, which is usually you write out this sort of mini proposal to publishers or agents to get your stories out there. And they either ask for more and then, or reject you, or once they ask for more, they get more, then they reject you. So it's a lot of research to see what kind of agencies you want to be a part of. There are writing contests that happen on Twitter. There's a lot of pitch contests, so the agents will kind of like what you propose, and then you can reach out to see which ones you think will be a good fit for you. For me, I had actually decided to self-publish Fractured Princess. So I did that in 2019. And in 2020, Chase had reached out because they were looking for authors for this new imprint for WCP. And so I researched Wahida Clark Publishing and just looked at, the books that they had put out, and just seeing the new fantasies that they were working with. And I felt like it could be a good fit for me.
I love that. All right. Well, let the people know where they can get your book and how they can continue to follow your journey, because I think the fact that you actually blog about what that journey is like, especially for other authors that are looking to connect with those they feel might not understand them. I'm in PR and I write, so I know that when I'm struggling, my friends probably don't understand what I'm going through.
Exactly.
But when there are people like you and me, they know that they have somewhere they can go, even if they're not verbalizing what they're struggling with. They can read and feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this crazy world of writing, or I'm not alone in this crazy world of PR, whatever the case may be. So let the people know how they can stay connected to you.
Yeah, I'm available for email at debrabyrd@gmail.com. It's just Deb, not Deborah, on the email. And I'm on Facebook as well, and Instagram as Debra Byrd. I'm always open to questions. My blog is The Right Mage. That's like writing, mage, MAGE.com. And I think most of my writing posts are on the last 2 weeks, but I'm hosting Black Author Spotlight that I'm trying to get off the ground. So I'll also have posts like that. Twitter, I'm Deb the Author, and that's mostly, I think that's where I am the most, that you can get in contact with me.
Deb the Author. You guys hear that? Follow Miss Deb the Author. I'm a huge Twitter fanatic. I think we make great connections there. There's always an opportunity to get some quick answers, some quick response. And if you're feeling like you just stuck, you can always just tweet. And most of the time you get a response back that helps you find answers that might even motivate your writing. And Miss Deb is going to be there. So, for the most part, there are resources. There is support. There are people that feel exactly how you might be feeling when you're trying to write. So make sure that you reach out, you stay connected, and tell them one more time the name of your book and where they can get it.
Yes, it's Fractured Princess, and it is available on Amazon for ebook now, and then September 14th, the paperback will be out.
I love it. Thank you so much, Miss Debra, for coming on, for talking to the people, for talking about your book and sharing your experience. I hope we keep in touch. And when your next one comes out, please promise you'll be back.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next time.